Everyone Wants to Pamper the Lucky Daughter Chapter 1, the group favorite Mengbao was born. The moon and stars were sparse, and a baby girl's delicate and soft cry, like a cat's whimper, sounded in the delivery room, and the town government's mansion was boiling. The family of generals in the government of Zhenghua has 4 generations living under the same roof, and it has been passed down for thousands of years and has never had a daughter. In the reign of the female emperor, the Fengqi dynasty, which advocates equality between men and women, is definitely a strange thing. The young masters in the mansion are all good in appearance and extraordinary in martial arts, but it is still inevitable that they will be criticized by others. It even attracted the attention of several generations of empresses, and became a civil and military official, a joke after dinner. The eldest granddaughter-in-law gave birth to the eldest granddaughter for the Duke of Zhen. She is a great contributor to our family, and she will be rewarded a lot. The head of the family in Zhenguogong's mansion, the old man blushed with excitement, beeped when his crutches poked the floor, and kept assigning tasks to his 4 sons, so that they would go to the palace and the mansion of their best friends to announce the good news in person without delay. Miss E has brought me here, please look at the old man and all the lords and wives. The nurse of the eldest granddaughter-in-law, holding the newborn Miss D, walked out of the delivery room beamingly and came to the front hall. "Oh, my dear, our little granddaughter is so pretty." Before the nurse could reach the old man, the Duke of Zhenghua and his wife who had been waiting here took the opportunity to hug the little baby girl wrapped in the quilt, and held her in her arms without letting go. A little baby girl with pink makeup was wrapped in the quilt, her eyes were closed, her mouth was pursed, as if she heard the boast of Mrs. Zhenghua, the corners of her mouth slightly turned up, revealing a sweet smile. Duke Shen and his wife took a breath, and after just one glance, their hearts softened, wishing they could hold their little granddaughter all the time and never let go. "Stinky boy, don't dawdle, quickly hug me and show me." The old man couldn't wait any longer, he wanted to poke Zhenguogong's nose with his crutches. "Hey, old man, look, my good granddaughter is smiling." Zhenguogong was not willing to let go, and walked over with his granddaughter in his arms, looking silly and cheerful. "Hey, my precious granddaughter, my great-grandfather was looking forward to the stars and the moon, and finally he has you here." The old man caressed the quilt with his skinny fingers, looked at the baby girl's white and tender face, and couldn't help but burst into tears. Great-grandfather, let us see our little sister too." 7 boys of different heights rushed in from outside the hall like they were having fun, surrounded Duke Shen, stood on their toes, stretched their necks, and kept looking inside the quilt. Go, you bastards, don't scare my sister." Duke Shen waved his hands away impatiently, he didn't like to see a group of monkey-like boys, he protected the quilt with both hands, for fear of disturbing the dream of his good granddaughter. He, uncle, let us take a look, just a look, okay?" The boys were not reconciled, and surrounded Lord Zhenghua, refusing to leave. "Father, just let them take a look, don't let them look, they won't go, they're nesting in the house." The eldest son of the Duke of Zhen's mansion, the biological father of the little girl, smiled and shook his head, and came to the Duke of Zhen, looking at the beloved eldest daughter with eyes soft enough to drip water. "Okay, take a look, just a look." Duke Shen couldn't bear to offend his eldest son's face, so he patiently agreed to his request, sat sideways and sat beside the old man, and held the baby in his arms tightly, so that the noisy boys could be quiet one by one. Sequentially walked to the front to see my sister. "My sister is so pretty, white and tender like cotton candy. My sister is so beautiful, her little face is white, like an egg with its shell removed. Sister smells so sweet, so fragrant and soft, I really want to hug her." The boys lined up obediently, and walked in front of the Duke of Zhen one by one. The innocent children's face and children's words made the adults in the house smile, and the wife covered her mouth with a wan handkerchief, and kept laughing non-stop. Everyone Wants to Pamper the Lucky Daughter Chapter 2, was dropped. The hall was full of joy and laughter, no one was paying attention, a sneaky figure, carrying a basket, sneaked out of the mansion through the back door, and got into the one-person carriage parked at the door in advance. Snapped. Under the dark night, there was a light whip, and the horse pulling the cart snorted heavily, raised its front hooves, and ran forward quickly. The carriage was galloping on the quiet and deserted street, and the sound of horseshoes knocking on people's hearts, the servant woman holding the basket in the carriage couldn't help shivering. "Miss D, don't blame me for being cruel. It's all about Aunt Shue, that vicious woman. She didn't want her wife to be favored by giving birth to a daughter, so she sent someone to imprison my parents, younger siblings, and forced me to do this. The carriage galloped to the southwest gate of the capital city, and the coachman showed the token of the Duke of Zhengua's mansion, and left the city smoothly, continuing to gallop along the official road to the south. At dawn, the carriage was tens of miles away from the capital, and stopped at the bank of the Weishui River, which crossed the Qilian Mountains and flowed from north to south. Trembling, the maid jumped out of the carriage with the basket in her arms, and at the urging of the coachman, she walked towards the depths of the river step by step. Miss D, this servant is sorry for you, this servant has a guilty conscience, and I will be an ox and a horse in the next life to make up for what I owe in this life. The servant woman hugged the basket tightly, but she couldn't bear it any more and drowned the baby with her own hands. When the coachman was not paying attention, she put the basket on the water and let it float away. Whizzing. In the mountain forest along the pipeline, 2 cold arrows were shot. Before the coachman and servant could react, the cold arrows pierced through the back of the heart, and they died on the spot. 2 masked men in black came out of the forest, threw the driver's body into the river, cut off the shaft, pulled the horses away, and set the carriage on fire. Destroying the corpses neatly, the 2 looked at each other, jumped on their horses, and ran into the forest. Whoa whoa, whoa whoa. In the basket floating down the Weishui River, the baby's soft cry sounded. The little baby girl wrapped in the quilt, listening to the sound of running water beside her ears, shrunk her mouth in a grieved way, and touched the hungry baby. Flat stomach, teary eyes. Hey, poor master, I ran into an unreliable couple just after reincarnation, and I didn't even know that my own daughter was swapped. A golden light flashed between the little baby girl's eyebrows, and a fluffy baby bird the size of a palm appeared out of nowhere in the basket. The little chick's black eyes flashed suddenly, and it looked down at the aggrieved little master with hazy eyes, and couldn't help but make a mistake. The little master is hungry, where is there a house nearby, find some milk for her to drink. Yeah, yay, yay. When the little baby girl saw the little chick, her water-stained eyes instantly lit up, and her pink hand stretched out from under the quilt, gently stroking its feathers. Although she was just born and was too young to speak, the little chick could still hear what she wanted to express from her unique baby talk. Master, don't worry. There seems to be a small village on the river bank in front. Ina controls the basket. Let's float along the water. Maybe we can find a suitable family to settle down. Cluck cluck, cluck cluck. The little baby girl understood what it meant. Yushua's pink face, smiling eyebrows and crooked eyes, were extremely cute. Oh, poor master. The little chick looked down at her little face with pink makeup and jade, and couldn't help but complain. Born in the government of Zhenghua, she is delicate and precious, and should be honored and pampered for a lifetime, but her parents are unreliable, and she lives among the people. I don't know which poor family will be adopted, and I don't know what will happen in the future. Yeah, yay, yay. The little baby girl understood its complaints, and her pink and tender hands gently brushed over the fluffy feathers, as if to comfort it. Since God's will is so arranged, let's follow God's will and go with the flow. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 3, Wonyu Village. Hee, master, you can think about it. The little chick was overjoyed, fluttering its delicate little wings, gliding on the water, and making the basket float quickly towards the nearby village. Wonyu Village, hidden at the foot of Qilian Mountain, is a secluded small village with only a dozen households. Most of the residents in the village rely on hunting in the mountains and chopping firewood for a living. Men with good water skills will also cast nets in shallow water to catch fish, dig loaches, and catch river crabs in shallow water to improve their lives. The dawn is rising, and the brilliant glow reflects the red sky. By the clear and shallow river, the hard-working peasant women made breakfast, chatting and laughing in twos and threes, carrying buckets to fetch water, washing dishes, and scrubbing clothes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The baby's delicate and soft cry came down the wind. Li Xiuyi, who was alone on the bluestone by the river, was scrubbing and washing her clothes. Her heart trembled. Following the cry, she saw a bamboo basket floating along the water, and she could vaguely see that it was wrapped in a quilt petite figure. "Father, come quickly, there is a child in the river, go and fetch the basket." Li Xiuyi subconsciously called out to her husband, her heart tightened uncontrollably, secretly worrying about the child who had drifted from nowhere. Plop! What answered her was the sound of her husband Su Hu rushing out from the courtyard wall closest to the river bank when he heard the shout, and jumped into the water without hesitation. The river water in late autumn was icy cold. Su Hu didn't care about the cold water, he paddled and pulled the water vigorously with all his limbs, and swam towards the basket with all his strength. There are still so many good people. The little bird's nimble black eyes flashed with emotion, flapping its delicate little wings, it made the basket quickly approach Su Hu. Gulyalu. Su Hu popped his head out of the water, spat out a few mouthfuls of cold river water, pushed the basket with his right hand from behind, turned and swam back. The little chick was gliding on the water surface, secretly helping a little. Su Hu sensitively noticed that a gust of cold wind blew by, and the frequency of his paddling increased a lot. Ah choo! Su Hu was shivering from the cold wind, and couldn't help but sneezed. Fortunately, with the help of the cold wind, the frequency of paddling became faster and faster. After a while, he returned to the shore, stood up from the shallow water with his basket in his arms, and ran to the shore while wading through the water. "Father, the river is cold, go home and change clothes." Li Xiuyi was overjoyed when she saw her husband return safely. Seeing that he was wet all over, and afraid of catching cold and getting sick, Li Xiuyi swiftly put away the unwashed clothes and ran to her yard with her. "Poor thing, it's a little girl." Su Hu let his wife pull him, looked at the little baby girl in the basket, felt pity, and couldn't help but grow resentment towards his parents who abandoned him. Which family is so devoid of conscience and humanity? The newborn child is cruelly thrown into the river and left to fend for itself. Looking at the clothes she's wearing, she may be from a wealthy family. Women are more sensitive to external clothes and appearance. Li Xiuyi glanced at the brocade quilt wrapping the little baby girl, and roughly guessed her origin. The two couples ran back to their small adobe courtyard, and Su Hu went into the house with a basket in his arms to change clothes. The moment he stepped over the threshold, he was shivering from the cold, and turned to tell his wife. "It's very cold in the room, and the newborn baby is afraid of the cold. You take some charcoal from the kitchen, put it in the house, and bake the bed, so as not to freeze the baby." "Understood, you can change your clothes first, and I will come as soon as I light the fire." Li Xiuyi immediately agreed, turned around and walked to the kitchen, and after a while, there was a faint green smoke from the chimney. After Su Hu changed his clothes, Li Xiuyi walked into the house with a pot of burning firewood and placed it at his feet. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 4, like little sister. What about baby? Su Hu rubbed his hands, warmed himself by the flames, slightly hooked his toes, and kicked the brazier towards the bed. "You are the head of the family, you have the final say." Li Xiuyi fetched a clean towel from the wash basin stand at the door and wiped his hair. "In our family's situation, it's difficult to raise another child." Su Hu glanced at the little baby girl who was laying obediently in the basket, not crying or fussing, holding the little chick, with a pair of big ignorant eyes, curiously looking around, and couldn't help but sigh. "Mother, brother is hungry, when can we have breakfast?" While the two were talking, a short girl with braids and a short stature, who looked about 7 or 8 years old, came from the next room, holding a 4-year-old boy with her right hand. The clothes of the two children were covered with patches, their faces were yellow and emaciated, they looked malnourished and their development was slow. "The rice is warming on the steamer. Mom will bring it to you right now." Facing the two children, Li Xiuyi showed a loving smile, stepped briskly across the threshold, and walked towards the kitchen. After a while, he came back with a tray. "His father, eat." She greeted her husband and children to go to the khan, handed the only cornbread to her husband, and distributed 2 boiled sweet potatoes, 1 large and 1 small, to the 2 children, while she herself picked up a bowl of corn paste mixed with wild vegetables. "I scooped it up with a spoon, and put it into my mouth in small bites." "Whoa, whoa, whoa." The little baby girl smelled the rice, shrugged her delicate nose, grinned, and began to cry softly. "My baby is probably hungry." Li Xiuyi's heart trembled, she put down the bowl, moved to the basket, carefully picked up the little baby girl, tried to scoop some rice paste with a spoon, and fed it into her mouth. Baha, baha. The little baby girl was very happy to eat, her mouth was still full of thoughts, and her eyebrows and eyes were crooked when she smiled. This child is good. He eats rice cereal and is easy to feed. Sue, who had fun watching from the sidelines, picked up some crumbs of the cornbread with his chopsticks, and waved them in front of the little baby girl's eyes. Ee-ya, ee-ya. The little baby girl danced and danced, obviously very interested in cornbread crumbs. Don't make trouble, the newborn baby has a weak stomach and can only eat liquid food. Li Xiu-yi pretended to be annoyed, slapped Sue Hu's hand away, and continued to feed the little girl with corn paste. Mother, is she the picked-up child? The 8-year-old girl is already sensible, watching her parents play with the baby girl, she couldn't hold back her curiosity, she swallowed the sweet potato in 2 or 3 mouthfuls, leaned close to her mother, poked her head to look at her carefully. Yes, mother thought she was pitiful, so she asked your father to jump into the water and fish her up. Hearing her daughter's question, Li Xiu-yi suddenly felt uneasy. She was afraid that the child would be dissatisfied and complain that they were meddlesome. She picked up a baby girl of unknown origin from outside, which made this poor family even worse. Little sister is beautiful, and Dauda likes it. Before the girl spoke, the boy who was leaning on his mother's right shoulder suddenly spoke, eagerly stretching out his little hand, wanting to touch his face that looked very fresh and delicious, fragrant and soft. Dauda likes little sister. Li Xiu-yi's eyes lit up, and she stroked her son's hair happily, feeling the pride of growing up as a child. Well, Dauda likes little sister. The boy's big eyes blinked suddenly, and he spoke clearly to express his meaning. I like it too. My younger sister is better than my younger brother. I have someone to keep me company. When I grow up, I can help my mother with her work. Seeing that her younger brother took the lead, the girl glanced at him unwillingly, and hurriedly showed her liking in front of her parents, lest she would make them angry and dislike her pettiness, not as straightforward as her younger brother. Sister Qiao has grown up and is sensible, my mother is so happy. The heart hanging in Li Xiu-yi's throat finally fell back into her stomach when she heard her daughter's words. Lovingly rubbing her daughter's hair, she once again felt the pride of having a young girl in her family. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 5, Poor Jingle. Li Xiu-yi fed the little girl half a bowl of rice cereal, and the little girl smacked her mouth contentedly, yawned, her eyelids stained with mist began to sink, and she couldn't help but want to sleep. This child is really good. He doesn't cry or make trouble, and sleeps when he's full. From the bottom of his heart, he makes people like him. Li Xiu-yi hugged the little baby girl lightly, feeling the long-lost tenderness that belongs only to babies, her eyes are so soft that water can drip down. Just keep it if you like it. Sue Hu smiled when he heard the words, and looked at his wife dotingly, it's just that I have to open my mouth to eat. The big deal is that I will work harder. I will go up the mountain to cut more firewood and send it to the town to sell. Winter is coming, and firewood sells quickly. Sell it for a little more money. Going to the town will take 7 or 8 miles. Li Xiu-yi couldn't bear it. Tian Han, the old injury on your leg is easy to recur. You have walked too much and your knee is sore. It's better not to go to the town, just sell it to the wealthy family on the other side of the river. Sue Hu slammed his mouth a few times, and shook his head, the families on the other side of the river have regular people who buy firewood. The price is very low, and they can't sell for much money. But your legs, Li Xiu-yi looked worried, her arms holding the quilt trembled slightly. Call. The drowsy little baby girl lying in Li Xiu-yi's arms, heard the conversation between the couple, opened her eyes stained with mist, and looked around at this impoverished new home. He let out a foul breath. Master, in the forest 100 meters outside the courtyard wall, there is a century-old ginseng plant. The little chick was connected with her, and her keen sense of smell spread in all directions, and she clearly smelled the smell of ginseng, and she couldn't wait to present the treasure to her master. Giggle. The little baby girl heard the voice transmission of the little chick's mind, her picturesque eyebrows stretched out, and her eyebrows crooked with a smile. Look, the kid is smiling again. What a lovely kid. Li Xiaoyi shifted her attention in an instant, and her soft gaze focused on the delicate pink face of the little baby girl. No matter how hard she looked at it, she couldn't get enough of it. It would be great if this was our own daughter. Su Hu also moved his gaze over, subconsciously wanting to pinch his big rough hands. The little baby girl's face is full of collagen, and her smooth and pink cheeks. Don't move, your rough hands have scratched the child's skin. Li Xiaoyi had sharp eyes and quick hands, and slapped his hand away, pretending to be angry and reprimanded him. Hey, I forgot about this. Su Hu withdrew his hand, scratching the back of his head, in a simple and honest manner. Yeah, yay, yay. The little baby girl was moved by Li Xiaoyi's act of protecting the calf. She let go of the little chick and pointed her white and tender hands towards the forest outside the courtyard wall. Hey, kid, what do you want to do? Li Xiaoyi and her husband were confused and failed to understand her baby language. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The little chick secretly helped, fluttering its delicate little wings, hovering over the little baby girl's head, as if to fly out. Sister wants to go out and play. Daodu, who is 4 years old, comprehends the meaning of the little baby girl. He also wants to go out and play. Yeah, yay, yay. The little baby girl seemed to be responding to him, nodding her head vigorously. Her small body was still struggling to move away, holding on to Li Xiaoyi's skirt tightly, insisting that she follow her own will. Go with her to see what's outside. Sensitively aware of the unusual meaning, Su Hu lifted his legs out of bed, put on his shoes, and opened the door first. Let's go too. Sister Qiao and Daodu, who were very determined, feared not to be left behind, hurriedly jumped out of bed, kicked their shoes and rushed towards the fence gate. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 6, 0-Year Ginseng. Hey, you two, put on your shoes before going out. Li Xiaoyi helped her forehead helplessly, walked out of the house with the baby girl in her arms, and closed the doors and windows. The family walked in the direction pointed by the little baby girl, got out of the courtyard wall and entered the mountain forest. They climbed up less than 100 meters along the winding and rugged mountain road. He flew down and landed in front of an inconspicuous mound. In the withered and yellow weeds in front of the mound, there are a few shriveled berries the size of soybeans. If you don't look for them deliberately, no one will pay attention to the humble wild fruit, let alone think that there is another universe under the wild fruit. Chirp. The little chick landed in the grass, picked up the shriveled berries, swallowed them whole, and the black eyes flashed with excitement. The fruits of century-old ginseng are undoubtedly a great tonic for newborn chicks. Yeah. The little baby girl's white and tender fingers kept pointing at the dirt under the little berries. Let me see what she's referring to. Su Hu squatted down, pulled away the grass, grabbed the soil with his big rough hands, raised it to the tip of his nose and sniffed it lightly. The soil was stained with the morning dew, moist, soft, and smelled the same as usual. Chirp. Seeing that he failed to comprehend the truth, the little chick jumped forward, throwing away the soil with its pointed beak, revealing the roots hidden under the grass. Father, I didn't want you to smell the dirt, there's something down there. Li Xiaoyi had a flash of inspiration and understood the meaning of the little chick. Dig it out and have a look. Okay. Su Hu always blushed, disturbed the back of his head in embarrassment, and smirked with his mouth open. He went up the mountain to cut firewood, hunt and do rough work all year round. His big hands were as hard as iron hooks. Pulling out the dead grass that got in the way, he took turns with both hands, and soon dug 2 pits of different depths on both sides of the rhizome, exposing the ginseng roots rooted in the soil. Oh, Sister Qiao, help me, my mother's legs are weak. Li Xiaoyi watched the ginseng gradually come into view, her heart beat faster, her eyes felt dizzy, and she almost couldn't stand still. Mom, be careful. Sister Qiao stepped forward quickly and held her arm. Sister Qiao, run fast, go home and bring a small shovel. Su Hu's eyes were dignified, he looked up at the sensible eldest daughter, and carefully told, there is still a vegetable basket, bring it here together, don't talk too much when you meet outsiders on the road, and don't tell anyone that your parents are here. Well, Sister Qiao knows. Sister Qiao nodded sensibly, let go of her mother's arms, let go of her feet and ran down the mountain. Buddha blesses, thank God for giving us a well-behaved and blessed daughter. Li Xiu-yi calmed down, hugging the little baby girl who giggled coquettishly in her arms. With picturesque features, she felt blessed and enlightened, clasped her hands together, and bowed in the direction of Fashu Temple. Give the baby a name. Su-hu stopped digging, raised his head, and looked at his wife gently. Since we decided to adopt her, we can count her as a family member, and we must have a name. Well, it's time to think of a name for the baby. Li Xiu-yi met her husband's gentle gaze, her heart was soft and warm, and with the love of God, she bestowed them with little Fua, and the more she looked at her, the more she liked them. Since it was given to us by God, let's call it a gift from God. Su-hu thought back to his wife's words of gratitude just now, and suddenly had a flash of inspiration, and smiled cheerfully. No. It's too ugly. The little baby girl and the little chick shivered at the same time and shook their heads together. What name are you blindly naming? Li Xiu-yi looked at the disgusted expressions of one person and one bird, and couldn't help laughing. There is no girl named that. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 7, Miss You. Hey, you're ready, you have read the book, the name you choose must be nice. Su-hu is a rough man, and he is also very good at coaxing his wife. Otherwise, his family was so poor that he would not have married the youngest and most beautiful village girl in the neighboring village. The eldest sister brought a clever word, which means that a woman is smart and intelligent. Li Xiu-yi listened pleasingly, and gave him a shy look. Little baby is born in an extraordinary family, and she is beautiful and rich, so let's call her Sister You. Don't want. So vulgar. The little baby girl and the little chick shuddered together again, and couldn't help complaining. Cough cough. Li Xiu-yi was sensitive to the disgust of one person and one bird, coughed a few times in embarrassment, and softly comforted, the baby is still young, and the nickname is Sister Jianyu. When I grow up, I will read the book by myself and recognize it. After choosing the word, give yourself a name you like. Giggle. The little baby girl understood, and smiled contentedly, her big bright eyes bent into crescent moons, extremely cute. Sister You, this name is good, it's called Shunku. Su-hu didn't notice the small movements of one person and one bird rubbing secretly, licking his face and flattering his wife. Li Xiu-yi's ears turned red when he heard it. Father, here are the shovels and baskets. Xiao Jie's legs and feet were fast, and the two of them were talking, and they had already run back from the yard, panting with excitement, and their cheeks were stained red due to the intense exercise. Daughter-in-law, take the two children and stand far away, and be careful not to get dirt. With the small shovel, Su-hu's digging movements became more agile, and the shoveling was fast, and the raised soil splashed everywhere. See clearly, don't hurt the roots. Li Xiu-yi warned worriedly. Do not worry. Su-hu patted his heart and assured, before the two of us got married, when my grandfather and I went hunting in the mountains, we dug up a ginseng plant. It was not as big as this one, and it was as thick as a little finger. At that time, my grandfather's eyes were blurred, and I dug it out by myself. Yes, not a single ginseng was injured. Success, you dig, we will watch from the sidelines. Li Xiu-yi was relieved, and took Xiaojie and Daodu back a few steps. As the century-old ginseng, which was as thick as a baby girl's arm, appeared little by little in front of her eyes, her heartbeat became faster and faster. Centennial ginseng, how much money is it worth? God loves them, their family finally no longer have to worry about filling their stomachs. Daughter-in-law, I want to go to the town and sell the ginseng roots for a good price while they are fresh. After digging up the ginseng and hiding it in the basket properly, Su-hu, based on his experience in selling ginseng with his grandfather, wanted to set off immediately to sell ginseng in Furong town, which is the nearest to Woniu village. It's getting late, you're going to Furong town now, at least until the afternoon, and it's a journey of more than 10 miles. Li Xiu-yi had scruples in her heart. What she was worried about was her husband's old leg injury. She was afraid that his knee would hurt from walking too much, and the soreness in the cold weather would be unbearable. It's okay. There is a donkey cart to the town on the other side of the river. It costs 3 yuan to ride once. I will go there in a donkey cart. I can reach Furong town at noon and come back in the evening. Su Hu had his own plan and insisted on leaving. Mom, I also want to go to Furong Town with Dad. Sister Chiao timidly added the words, looking at her parents expectantly. I also need to go. Daodu is his sister's little follower, wherever his sister goes, he also wants to go there. Yeah. The little baby girl was also waving her little hands cheerfully, and her sugar-like eyes were shining, expressing her interest. Sister Yu also wants to go. Li Xiuyi asked subconsciously. In her heart, the little baby girl at this moment is no different from the lucky doll that God bestowed on their family. With a little baby girl accompanying her, the trip to Furong Town to sell ginseng must have gone smoothly. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 8, Sell Ginseng. Since the children want to go, why don't you go too? Su Hu was also very happy. To be honest, he had no confidence at all when he went to Furong Town to sell ginseng by himself, but with his wife and children with him, he could be a bit more courageous. Success, that's it. Go home and change your clothes. Let's leave immediately. Li Xiuyi's heart was moved. She was married to Woniu village for many years, and the number of times she went to the town can be counted on the fingers. Taking the opportunity of selling ginseng, she also wanted to visit the bustling market. Let's go play in town. With the permission of their parents, Su Qiao and Daoda happily ran down the mountain one after the other. Their crisp and melodious laughter made everyone feel happy. I got money from selling ginseng, cut some floral cloth, and made some new clothes for the children. Li Xiuyi was holding the little baby girl with joy on her face. You also make yourself new clothes, don't be reluctant. I have a hunch, with Sister Yu around, our family will get better and better. Su Hu was carrying the basket, looking forward to a good day with plenty of food and clothing, with a longing look on his face. Well, yes, it will get better and better. Li Xiuyi lowered her eyes, glanced at her and closed her eyes. The drowsy little baby girl felt soft in her heart. When the couple returned home, Li Xiuyi took out a few sets of half-new clothes from the cabinet that she was willing to wear during the new year, and changed them for the whole family. Before leaving, he carefully replaced the brocade quilt that wrapped Sister Yu with his own coarse quilt, carefully closed the doors and windows, and locked them. Then he and her husband carried a bamboo basket on their backs, took their children, crossed the river by boat, and headed for Furong Town by donkey cart. The Qilian Mountains have a vast territory, with mountains connecting mountains, and the mountain roads are rugged. Walking out of the mountain from the other side of the river, you have to turn more than a dozen turns on the narrow mountain road to reach Furong Town. Furong Town is the largest town in Shilibakan. Although it is not very prosperous, because at the foot of the famous Fashu Temple Mountain, there is an endless stream of pilgrims coming and going, which brings prosperous business opportunities to the small town. Su Hu dragged his daughter to Furong Town with his daughter, and he had already planned in his heart. The most reputable pharmacy in the town is Kong Shan Tang, a century-old brand. There was a century-old ginseng hidden in his back basket, and he had something to worry about. He was not in the mood to go shopping first, and as soon as he got off the donkey cart, he took his wife and children to the pharmacy. Guest officer, you are here, do you want to get medicine or see a doctor? The family stepped into the threshold of the pharmacy, and the young guy greeted him politely with a smile on his face. Excuse me, how do you sell ginseng here? Li Xiuyi thought about it, and instead of coming up to express her intention, she made indirect remarks and inquired about the market of ginseng. Does this aunt want to buy ginseng? Or sell ginseng? The young man was very clever, and he could guess the purpose of the couple's visit from the outer clothing. Selling ginseng. Su Hu was honest, he couldn't tell a lie, so he got it right. Cough cough. Li Xiuyi stomped on him resentfully. Selling ginseng, brother, you have come to the right place. Our Kongshantang is a century-old brand, and our reputation is absolutely guaranteed. You will definitely not lose money if you sell it to us. Seeing the business coming, the young man smiled even more eagerly. You give us an approximate price first, we think it's appropriate, and then discuss it in detail. Compared to Su Hu's honesty, Li Xiuyi is more or less business-minded and will not be easily calculated. The guy was a little bit embarrassed. Well, I haven't seen ginseng, so it's hard to say. Li Xiuyi frowned, not happy. It's hard to say why, maybe you want to sit on the ground and raise the price. My aunt, don't be angry, our Kong Shan Tang will never do anything to harm customers. The little guy was a little overwhelmed, and kept looking into the inner hall with his little eyes asking for help. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 9, Play. Hee hee. The shopkeeper Kong Shan Tang, who was sitting in the inner hall, heard the voice from outside, so he raised the curtain, stroked his gray beard, and met Li Xiuye's aggressive gaze with a smile. Guest officers, since you want to sell ginseng, please come and sit inside. Succeed, we didn't mean to find fault on purpose, we did come to discuss business sincerely. Li Xiuye glanced at the old shopkeeper with a pale face, seeing that he had a good demeanor and was amiable, she pulled Su Hu's sleeves and nodded at him. Su Hu habitually listened to his wife's words, and walked towards the inner hall. Li Xiuye followed closely behind with her 3 children. When the couple entered the inner hall, they were shocked to find that the decorations in the house were elegant and unique, which was more than 1 level higher than the hall in the outer hall. Knowing that it was for entertaining distinguished guests, he straightened his back subconsciously, for fear of being looked down upon. The old shopkeeper invited them to sit down at the coffee table and ordered the waiter to serve tea. The boy quickly made tea and brought it over, along with a plate of pastries, which were placed in front of the 2 children. Daodu is small, when he sees pastries, he reaches for them. Daodu, don't eat indiscriminately. Xiaojia was sensible, so she immediately stopped her and scolded him with puffed cheeks. Hee hee, brother, the cakes are specially prepared for the 2 children, so it's okay to use some. The old shopkeeper's eyes flashed, he stroked his beard and smiled at Mimi. The words were for Su Hu, but his shrewd eyes fell on Li Xiuye. He is old and mature, and he has already seen that in this family, Li Xiuye is the one who really has the right to speak. Sister Qiao, take a piece of pastry and take my brother to play in the backyard. Sure enough, Li Xiuye groaned for a moment, patted Sister Qiao's head, and ordered her in a low voice. She let the 2 children go to the backyard, but also deliberately let them avoid the next conversation, lest the 2 children hear some secret things and go out to talk nonsense. Guest officers, the price of ginseng, I'm telling you the truth, there is no uniform standard. The old shopkeeper watched the 2 children leave, took a sip of tea from the teacup, moistened his throat, and started the negotiation mode. The price of each ginseng varies from a few taels to a few hundred taels depending on its quality and year. If it is newly picked ginseng with fresh roots, the price will be slightly higher. Boss, we all know what you always said. Li Xiuye's eyes flashed, and she didn't give in at all. Just tell me, how much is your purchase price for 100-year-old ginseng in good condition? Century-year-old ginseng? The old shopkeeper was obviously taken aback for a moment. He did not expect that the seemingly ordinary couple would have such good luck to pick century-old ginseng. If it's really 100-year-old ginseng, the price will start at 100 taels of silver. If it's in good condition and has complete roots, we're willing to pay more. 100 taels of silver. When Su Hu first heard the old shopkeeper's words, his heart twitched suddenly, and his breathing stopped for a moment. The living expenses of their family are no more than 2 or 3 taels a year. 100 taels is enough for them to eat and drink for 20 years. With this kind of thought, his eyes couldn't help showing a little fiery, and he couldn't wait to get rid of the ginseng, and actually put 100 taels of silver into his pocket. There is drama. The old shopkeeper raised his eyelids, glanced at his expression, and a shrewd light flashed across his eyes. Daughter-in-law, look. Seeing that his wife didn't respond, Su Hu stretched out his hand and pushed Li Xiuye's shoulder. Hearing 100 taels of silver, Li Xiuye's heart was also tumbling, thinking of the bitter life of poverty in the past 10 years of marriage, ups and downs, bitterness, spiciness, and more than a dozen kinds of tastes. Everyone wants to pamper the lucky daughter. Chapter 10, Gift a Counterfeit. Fortunately, her eyesight was still clear, and she was not dazzled by the 100 taels of silver. After she calmed down, she already figured out that the negotiation had just begun, and there was still room for further bargaining. Father, take out the ginseng and show it to the shopkeeper. Our ginseng is a rare old ginseng in 100 years. If it is sold in the capital city, the price will more than double. Hearing his wife's words, Su Hu put his arm into the basket and carefully took out the century-old ginseng, which was as thick as a baby's small arm, with complete limbs and complete roots. Call. Now, it was the old shopkeeper's turn to stop breathing, and the right hand holding the teacup could not help but tremble slightly with excitement. Yeah. The little baby girl glanced at the old shopkeeper with her eyes, clapped her little hands and smiled, just like the calculating expression of the old shopkeeper just now. Sister, are you hungry? Do you want some pastries? Su Hu's attention was instantly attracted by Yu Xue's cute little baby girl. Anyway, he couldn't add anything to the negotiation, so he simply changed the target to make the little baby happy and enjoy the long-lost family happiness. Yeah. The little baby girl blinked her big eyes and nodded her head, expressing herself clearly. Father will brew it with water for you to eat. This time, Su Hu accurately comprehended her baby language, happily took a piece of soft chestnut cake, soaked it in boiling water until soft, and fed it into the baby girl's mouth. Baha, baha. The little baby girl ate very happily. The soft chestnut cake was much more delicious than the rice cereal mixed with wild vegetables. Buy it now, 200 taels. The father and daughter ate happily, and the old shopkeeper also recovered from the initial shock and excitement. With the determination not to miss it, he doubled the price at once. After finishing speaking, he also specially explained, if it weren't for the fact that the Jingdu Qinggong mansion is happy with a noble daughter, and our master is eager to buy good-looking ginseng as a congratulatory gift to the Zhenguogong mansion, this old man would never have made such an offer. Hi. Send a congratulatory gift to that impostor. It's okay if the old shopkeeper didn't say anything, but when it came to the Zhenguogong mansion, the little baby girl couldn't help feeling wronged, her big bright eyes were stained with mist, and she began to cry softly. The low and soft cry like a kitten hit the hearts of Su Hu and Li Xiuyi, which made the couple's hearts tremble, and they couldn't help feeling distressed. Hey, baby, why are you crying? Is it because the chestnut cake is not delicious, so we won't eat it? Su Hu swiped, his forehead was covered with sweat, and he frantically coaxed the little baby girl. The shopkeeper, my sister, you found the ginseng. She doesn't agree to sell it, and we, the husband and wife, can't decide. Compared to Su Hu's panic, Li Xiuyi had more complicated thoughts, mistakenly thought that the little girl was smart, disagreed with the low price offered by the shopkeeper, and cried on purpose to express her dissatisfaction. 300 taels, no more. The old shopkeeper cast a suspicious glance at the aggrieved little girl, and simply added another 100 taels. Whoa whoa. What answered him was the low and soft cry of the little baby girl. 400 taels. The old shopkeeper wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. Whoa whoa. The little baby girl was still crying aggrievedly. 500 taels. The old shopkeeper's eyelids twitched in pain, and he was cruel, and added another 100 taels. If it wasn't for the master's family rushing to buy high-grade ginseng as a gift to the Zhenguo government, he would never have dared to make decisions privately and offer such a high price. At 500 taels, Su Hu and his wife were already stunned. Even the little baby girl thought to herself, the old man really had a bloodletting this time, and his flesh was so painful that he almost passed his breath. Thinking of the poverty of her adoptive parents and the hard-earned money, she suppressed the grievance in her heart, pursed her lips, and stopped crying.